this is not exactly boxing's Legion of Honor. Steve Zuski, Rocky Sikorsky, the immortal Tom Trim. You got a guy in here you thought Bobby hits. Shouldn't that have been no hit?
Some of these guys, they start telling lies. They say George doesn't fight a guy unless he's on a respirator. It's a big lie. He has to be 8 days off the respirator.
Guido Train? I mean, when the referee gave out the instructions at the start of these fights, did they put a mirror under these guys' noses to make sure that everything was okay with them?
No, I let my mother work out with them. If they whipped my mother, they wouldn't fight me.
Well, no, Emanuel Stewart has said never in the history of boxing have there been more hand-picked bums.
Well, he's only saying that because it's true, too.
But you really believe that you and not Tyson should be fighting Holyfield in April?
Hey, it's going to happen. I'm going to show the whole world that the age 40 is not a death sentence. When you're looking at me, you're looking at a potentially such and such. People have been talking about athletes getting to be 32, calling them veterans. I'm still productive right now. I'm going to make about $500,000 for this match. I got too many cousins to tell you how much I'm going to make. But anyway, I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm closer to 50 than I am to 30. It's really happening. And a lot of people, they can't say, they don't want to say that, hey, the future heavyweight champ of the world is a tough guy. So it's a miracle happening. What do they say? He hasn't fought anybody.
Let me ask you, wasn't this always geared towards Tyson? Once you started beating people when you came back, didn't you always feel that the fight on the top of the mountain was going to be Mike Tyson? And when Buster Douglas beat him in February, did you feel like that might knock you out of the picture? Not
at all. I had potential, you know.
Well, yeah.
I'm still growing boy. Obviously the wrong way.
What do you weigh today? What do you weigh right now?
I don't know. You catch me before breakfast, I'm about 250 or 60, but then I eat and then it goes up.
Goes up by the end of the day. Have you ever thought, by the way, about the similarities between yours and Tyson's career? Tough upbringing, on the streets, fantastic early success, a humiliating loss, and then a comeback. And all the fame and all the power of being heavyweight champion that came with it. There are some real parallels there, and I just wonder if you've been struck by them.
Hey, man, there's so many people I've been parallel with. Remember, I've been around a long time. I'm just about a granddaddy here.
But is this, do you see yourself in this kid and what career he's had so far?
I think that was the old Sonny Liston. He was the old guy that I kind of patterned myself after, and we had a similar life. Tyson, not so much, you know.
I was wondering, now you had a Customato, Doc Broadus, got you off the streets, got you going in the right direction. Now, Tyson, a lot of the times, uses his roots and his background.
Why do you keep talking about Mike Tyson?
Because I think you're going to have to fight him eventually.
Let's switch over to another conversation. You know, I didn't come this far.
No, this is about you. This is about you.
All right, stop talking about Mike Tyson.
At what point can you
get you somebody else to talk about? Let's talk about my mother or something like that.
How is your mom, by the way?
She's fine. Talk about anything.
Your wife's expecting a baby?
There you go. They got 10 contenders that you ought to talk about. Don't mention one more than another. But they're going to beat me up because of it, you know. Talk about Evander Holyfield.
At what point do you stop using your background as an excuse for things that happen in your life?
Oh, I'm an adult now. I'm raising kids. You know, I left boxing for 10 years. I got better at my children's homework than they were. I knew then I had to find something to do with my life. That's the reason I came back into boxing.
In this whole comeback, have you fought anybody anywhere near as close to being as fast as Holyfield?
I don't know. They've been running from me, though. So I don't know how fast he's going to run from me.
Now, a lot of people think that when this fight comes off, one way or the other, it's going to be very fast.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have a 2-round knockout.
Of Evander Holyfield?
I'm going to knock him out in 2 rounds. Second round. 1 round just for the show. And as Muhammad Ali would say, the second round he must go.
After all this time, you're quoting Ali now.
That's right.
Haven't you become Ali in this your second incarnation as a boxer?
Muhammad is the greatest. I eat the most.
Yeah, but the way you talk now, the way you carry on, the way you joke, the fun you're seeming to be having. You didn't do this. You didn't do this the first time.
Well, I didn't have 9 children then either. I've got to feed a lot of mouths now, man. I got to sell a lot of Avon now. Just like knocking on the doors. What you buy? I mean, I go home and my kids are like this. So I had to get back out and sell these products now. Nobody's going to give me. Beforehand, I could be quiet because there were other people out there making the noise. But I've got to make the noise now.
In the years that you were out of boxing, did you feel that maybe you got cheated a bit out of the experience of being heavyweight champ? For this reason. I think you held the title for like 18 months. You had 4 title fights in your life before this one coming up, for a total of 13 rounds. I mean, you never had a full 15 rounds as heavyweight champion of the world. Did you feel like that experience was pulled away from you a little bit?
You know, this time around, I don't want any more than 2 or 3 rounds either. If I fight next time for the title, I want it to go in 1 round. Next time, a half a round. I want to be the only guy that's a mystery. Can he go a long time in the ring?
But in memory, I think people have an idea that George Foreman was the heavyweight champ for a long time, and you really weren't.
Oh, yes, I was.
18.
Don't believe him there.
13 rounds.
13 rounds.
8 of them in LA, against Ali and Zaire.
Isn't that something?
We'll be back.
Vista Donuts on Riverside Drive has the largest selection of quality donuts with freshly brewed coffee. Delicious muffins made fresh daily. And mouth-watering pastries for every palate. Best of all, friendly service 24 hours every day. Vista Donuts in Lake Elsinore on Riverside Drive.
To be honest with you, now, I've done preaching a lot longer than I've done boxing, so actually I'm a little more comfortable at being a preacher. People ask me all the time, George, how can you be a preacher and a boxer? I tell them that's easy. Come to church on Sunday, listen to me preach, and then meet me in the gym on Monday. Get in the ring with me. You won't never ask that question no more.
You're sitting in that dressing room in Puerto Rico in 1977. Lost a fight to Jimmy Young that nobody thought you could lose. People thought you were sick afterwards. You had a religious conversion.
That's right. In a split second, I was dead and alive. I had this vision. Then I laid on the dressing room table screaming that Jesus Christ was coming alive in me. And I started reciting the Bible. And you know where they took me to, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, what?
They shot me down and put me in the hospital. But I had this amazing experience that taught me something. That is more, equally, boxing is great, championship is great, money is great, but there are some things equally as great, too. Knowing about your Almighty. I know something about it, and I started to spread that around the country to tell everybody about that experience. Of course, a lot of people thought I was crazy. Me, number one. But I did it for 10 years. Then after 10 years, I started wondering, I've told this story. I fished and fished, told the story and fished. I said, man, you better do something with your life. I came back into boxing. It's because I started working with kids. We started a youth center, and I started teaching them how to box. I said, if it's okay to teach them, I may as well learn a little myself. So I said, I'm going back into boxing. I'm going to be heavyweight champion of the world. I slipped on my trunks. They didn't fit. I said, man, what am I going to do? I weighed about 315 pounds. And I started training hard for months and months. I got on the scale. It was down to 305.
It's amazing how they'll just drop off like that.
Yeah, isn't that something? But see, what was happening, I would work hard and I'd go back home. I said to myself, listen, you're going to have to stop eating, George. That's the problem. I'd eat a dozen eggs every morning. So instantly, I cut it down to 11.
Yeah. Well, see, now, that really is the sort of discipline that made you a champion in the first place, sure. Did you ever think, when you embraced Christianity, that all these years later, 2 born-again Christians would get into a boxing ring and try to beat each other's brains out for the heavyweight title? Well, I mean, Holyfield's a Christian, too.
You know, the idea is that everybody's good, no matter who you are. You get into the ring with a guy, no matter what he calls himself, he's still a good human being. And there's never a shot in anger. I try to knock him out. That way nobody get hurt.
You tell a story about when you were champ for the first time, before you went to Zaire. Jim Brown, the football player who you'd idolized, you even grew a mustache, you said, to emulate Jim Brown, came to your house, and you were walking him around your house, I think in California, and Jim Brown said to you, gee, George, one of these days, I'm going to get it together like you have. And you said at that point in your life, you were the least together person in the world.
I can tell you this. I heard a commercial in 1965. I was running around mugging people on the street, hiding under the curve, running from the police. And I heard a commercial. Jimmy Brown said, if you're looking for that extra chance in life, join the Job Corps to get a second chance. And I did. I went out to get some more education, learn a skill, and in the meantime, got an avocation of boxing. And he was telling the truth. I went on to become an Olympic gold medalist, heavyweight champion of the world because of that little advice I took from Jim Brown. This guy became a great role model for me.
And then came to your house that day at a time in your life where you just didn't know what the future
I didn't tell
held.
you about that. Where you get that at?
Well, we just, you know.
You can get a little sneaky there. Jim Brown's gonna beat me up about that one. He's still a big guy, you know.
Hey, was there any point, starting in '87, where you just felt that a title shot was going to be out of your reach? That it just wasn't going to happen because it was a sporting joke when you started out, and people would look at your list of opponents and figure that the next 3 fights would be against the 3 Golden Girls, and then you fight that little Sophia, you know, the little grandmother. But
Boy,
did you ever feel like it was pulled away from you?
I knew for a fact that I would become heavyweight champ of the world. All I needed was an opportunity. There were a lot of barriers, but my size and my age would not be one, all the politics. But I knew if I looked at myself, not as an old guy, but as a prospect, that to work from the bottom all the way up to the top, I would become heavyweight champ of the world. I knew because I did once. So it didn't bother me what people were saying. There are a lot of skeptics out there, but they didn't convert me. I'm a positive thinker. I know that if you stop dreaming, you may as well be dead. If you're 30, 40, 50, or 60, if you can't dream, die. I kept dreaming. I'm still dreaming. If you can't reach for the stars, when the first man decided to go to the moon, people laughed at him too. But he made it, and then everybody's saying, like me, I'm going to be the first boxer on the moon. I want to get up there and put on an exhibition.
If Holyfield hits you that shot that he hit Douglas with...
Watch out. I know what you're going to say.
What happens?
Right.
What happens? He hits
I don't go to the moon, that's for certain.
No, what happens
I
if
see
he
a few stars maybe, but I'm not going to the moon.
In the past, when you've been hit on the comeback trail, you just sort of have shrugged it off and kept going. Now, a man...
Evander Holyfield cannot whoop George Foreman. He whipped Buster Douglas, a guy who ate a few cheeseburgers here and there, and a few other guys.
You're going to make fun of guys eating cheeseburgers?
Yeah, right, but he can't whip a guy who... I'm a franchise, fella. I mean, I'm not just 1 or 2 hamburgers here and there. When you see George Foreman, I've got Baskin-Robbins, I've got McDonald's, you talking Burger King. You got it.
Oh, well, yeah.
Man, I was just out doing stage and delicatessens last night. You can't whoop me. When you whoop me, you're talking about millions of sandwiches.
Is that the long answer that shot's not going to hurt you if he lays it on your chin?
You can't hurt no fella to eat as much as I do.
What's the longest this fight will go?
Holyfield announced today that he was 210 pounds. Man, breakfast time I eat that much. If it was going to hurt me, it would hurt me at breakfast time.
What's the longest this fight could go?
I expect to knock him out in 2 rounds, that's all. 2 rounds.
Okay, say you don't knock him out.
He's going to be running from me. If he starts to run from it and run and skip around the ring, don't have to take time to catch him. But folks going to be saying, hey, you're running from a senior citizen, get in there and fight him.
So you...
Get in there. They're going to say, you've been saying you were young and everything, go get George. He's going to be saying, I'm not going in there. I'm going to say, come on.
So you think he'll have...
I may have to run around the ring and try to catch him a few times, but if it goes like that, it may go a few rounds. But if he decides to come to get me and knock me out like he did Douglas, it's going to go maybe 1 round.
So you're not quite as impressed with this physique of Evander's as everybody else is. Because if you put the two of you together, it does look a little bit like a before, and after advertisement.
Cut. I'm going to knock this fella out. Evander Holyfield, look, whatever you say about him, he's great. He's a heavyweight champ of the world. If I miss you with my left, and then I miss you with my right, I've got another. I'll belly bump you out the ring. I'm ready. I'm willing and able now. Doesn't matter how I look, it's how I fight.
In the old days, you talked about left hooks that could break a man's jaw. You still throwing them?
Oh, yeah, I throw them pretty hard now. Harder, as a matter of fact. They don't just break your jaw, they break you.
We'll be back in a minute, and the audience is going to ask
And he's not going to be here because I'm going to deal with him about that comment before and after. I don't like anybody talking to me about like that. Tell everybody that they can't beat everybody.
Are you going to be training any differently for this fight than any of the other fights you have in the past?
Yeah, this is going to be a little different because I've got a guy who's noted to be tough. So I'm going to have to put a few more hours in than ordinarily would put in. But other than that, technique, pretty much the same. I never prepare for another guy's style. I just overwhelm him with my style. I come on you like waves. After you do whatever you're going to do, Here I is.
I mean, this is going to be a classic example of where they say everybody's got a plan till he gets hit.
Just right. I'm going to get out there and do the hitting and let the other guy figure out how to get away from being hit. And if he can do it for 10 or 12 rounds, good for him.
Right here.
George, who's going to give you the tougher fight, Holyfield or Tyson?
I can tell you one thing. The toughest fight I'm having now is nobody's giving me nothing to eat. I'm thinking about some buns and Holyfield and Tyson and each one of them and eating them.
Right here.
Hi, Mr. Foreman. As a spiritual man, what would you say to young kids of today and of all the people that are growing up, especially in poor neighborhoods?
You don't have to stop being involved in church to become a great anything you want to. Keep coming. Go to church. Hang around church. You can become whatever you want because God is the God of I'll help you be whatever you want, not what you can't do.
You and Ali have interesting debates about religion?
We fight about it. I mean, we
Do you really
get
fight
down
about
to
it?
business. I'm always trying to convert him. I'm steadily trying to convert Muhammad Ali into peace of mind.
And he's still trying to sell Islam to you?
He stopped trying to sell it to me now because I'm on his back so much. When he see me now, he's trying to run. Uh-oh, here come this big mouth guy.
So he's not laying on the ropes anymore?
No, he's running now.
Right here.
George, I wish you good luck in your success in winning the title. If you do win the title, and when you
I'd
do...
like a sporting T-shirt like that also.
Oh, I appreciate
Okay.
that. Fine. When you do win the title, what will your plans be after that? Will you retire or will you continue?
I haven't made up my mind. I do want to become heavyweight champ of the world. That was the ultimate goal. Then I'd like to be introduced for a solid year as the champ. Not as the ex-champ, former champ. I want to be introduced as a champ and get all those free meals and all of that.
Back here.
George, one of the lasting memories in sport were the 4 bows you took when you won the gold medal. In a sport that's not known for gentlemanly eloquence, perhaps since the days of Jim Corbett, Evander Holyfield's also a gentleman, as you are. Is it going to bother you to knock him out?
Yeah, it's really going to bother me a whole lot. It's going to really hurt me to knock Evander Holyfield out. I mean, I just can't talk about it anymore.
I want to thank you very much for coming today.
I've enjoyed it.
I wish
Thank
you
you.
the best of luck in April. Go get yourself a hot meal. I'll be back with some closing comments in just a minute. Had one of his greatest seasons. Pete ended up with 230 hits that time, on his way to more hits than anybody else in baseball history. And now all this time later, as 1990 is ending, Foreman's getting ready to fight again for the heavyweight championship against all odds. And Rose, for whom odds were terrible trouble, is finishing a sentence in jail. And there's talk that when he gets out in a few weeks, some boys and girls